Right, I think we're there. Can you still hear me? Lovely, that's lovely. Good. And, am I in the right place? Yes, that looks good. Plenty of space. So as always, the first few movements are just checking in, seeing how we feel. And since you're familiar with the movement, right from the word go, just seeing if you can let the core lead you in to each movement, letting the core draw your weight from one side to the other. Just letting the arms hang, and the movement from the core will let them swing out. That's it. That looks great, Angela. I can see you clearly. Hope you can see me clearly. Great. So just being honest with ourselves. The theme for the Shiatsu Congress, which was why I was actually attracted there, was being real about ourselves. Oh, I like that. And the workshops I was involved in, we ended up having this marvelous sort of catchphrase of perfection in our imperfection. So we can't all be beautifully balanced. We have kinks in the spine, old war wounds here and there. So acknowledging how the body feels, whether a hip or a knee is happy to take our weight, not putting more weight on it than it's content and comfortable with. That's it. So that movement from the hara, allowing the spine to begin to rotate, head turning on the shoulders, maybe a few crackles and pops in the neck as you turn your head, but as long as there's no discomfort, nothing that makes you grimace. That's it. Waist drawing the hips round, knees following the hips. Little stretch down in the ankles at the end of each swing. Core drawing the chest round, shoulders following the chest, head following the shoulders. That's it. And again, that honesty that we're not pushing through resistance. I'm noticing that my body is so happy to turn to the right. Very almost enthusiastic. It's pulling on the lead. And yet there's a little resistance, no pain, but just a tightness on the left that my body doesn't want to turn quite so far. And so we don't force it. We notice that little edge. We notice the resistance, but we don't push through it. That's it. Lovely. Now you've got a nice little rhythm going, just letting the mind's eye look on out beyond the space you're in, out to a distant horizon. At the end of each swing, just letting the eyes look out of the corner of your eye, seeing a tiny bit more of that horizon. And then taking our attention down to our fingers, thumbs, feeling or imagining the weight of our fingers, the flesh, the muscles and tendons, the bones, gently softening, opening, little space in between a rusty thumb joint here, a tender little finger there, weight of the hand gently drawing on the wrists, opening up the wrist joints. Space for our body in its wisdom to fill with our natural 3-in-1 oil. It's the lovely thing about the body, that if you create a bit of space in a joint, it will fill it with lubricant, no matter how much rust there is. That's it. That's good. Feeling the whole weight of each arm, gently drawing the shoulders apart, creating space in the chest, space to be able to breathe more easily, to take in from the outside, to release to the outside. That's it. And then just let each swing get a little less, a little less, a little less, until the movement disappears. No need to put the brakes on. Simply let the movement reduce and reduce and reduce until the movement has gone away. Hello, Julie. Lovely. Glad you're here. Oh, now that satisfies my desire for symmetry. My screen now has 4 nice windows, no odd-shaped windows here. Oh, that's great. So, feet under hips. Be honest with yourself. If the hips are a little unhappy, don't make the hips do more than they're comfortable to. So, slight bend to the knees. See if you can allow the legs to become as near like springs as they're able to be. And if one side says, I don't want to take too much, let that perfection in our imperfection shift the weight so the body is trusting itself. Slight. I'm going to turn slightly to one side. I think that jaunty angle allows you to see me better rather than things going straight towards the screen. That's it. Small swings to begin with. This first movement, just checking out how we touch the earth, how our soles, S-O-L-E, but maybe S-O-U-L as well, how the soles of our feet push against the earth, feeling the balls of our toes, feeling the heels. If there's a lot going on in our life, there's a natural tendency for the body to be pulled forwards onto the balls of the toes. We can notice it. We can see if we can let the heels push down into the ground. But if the body doesn't want to, don't force it. Don't create tension trying to get to this mythical perfection. That's it. Puppet string lifts, puppet string lowers. That's lovely. Getting to that point where you don't really feel you're swinging your arms. It's that movement of the body up and down that allows the arms to swing. That's it. Mind's eye on that distant horizon. Little ache of the thighs is okay, as long as it's not pain. Now we can begin to make the movement a little bigger, letting the arms swing up, but no higher than shoulder height. And if there's any problem, any stiffness, any resistance in the shoulders, don't let the arms swing higher than that resistance. That's it. Really letting the soles of the feet push down now, sinking our roots, spreading our roots. Not just receiving support from the earth, stability, confidence, but our roots actually supporting and stabilizing the earth. A little bit of gratitude that we live in a country where the earth doesn't turn to rubber, And then to finish, letting the arms swing a little higher. Again, only as high as the shoulders are happy to swing. Don't push through any resistance. That upward swing, opening up the chest. Space to absorb, to draw in from the outside. Space to release to the outside. Opening up the belly, the abdomen, space to digest, to absorb the chi of the earth. And then just letting each swing get a little less, a little less, a little less. Again, not putting the brakes on, just letting the movement get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it disappears. And a little bit of breathlessness. It should be an aerobic movement. There we are. Let's face the screen again so I can see you clearly. Just to calm the body down a little bit, keep the feet under the hips. Aim at a parallel stance, but again, not by creating tension. So if the hips or the muscles in the buttocks want to pull the feet out to a slight angle, let that happen, but just inch towards the parallel. Have an intention of moving towards parallel stance. Knees are soft, arms hanging. Can't resist doing this because there's a slight delay on the screen. And I do really look like something out of an ancient 1960s animation. That's good. So, letting that puppet string at the crown of the head draw us up gently, softly, not drawing us up as if we're on the rack. Just checking that any tension in the back of the neck doesn't pull your nose up as the puppet string draws you up. Again, if you notice a lot of tension, that lovely movement that I more politely these days call the amorous pigeon, tucking the chin in, letting the head be drawn up. That's it. And then that string of bones hanging down from the base of the head, the string of bones that very, very unfairly has been named the spine. Such a rigid, harsh name. It should be called the string. Arms just hanging off the shoulders. Wriggle, fidget whenever tension builds up. And again, from the core, just let the core begin to rotate the body around that central string of bones in the spine. That's it. Again, not forcing it. Core gently rotating the spine. You might find resistance in the front or back of a hip. Again, don't push through resistance. Let your mind notice where the body likes moving, rather than it being drawn to where it resists moving. Again, I can feel my body strangely. When I did the big swings, it liked swinging to the right, and there was resistance to the left. Now, with this tiny, more refined rotation, there's a resistance to the right and a freedom to the left. Just be curious. We don't need to ask why. The minute we ask why, the chi goes up into the head and starts analyzing and judging and criticizing. So just be curious, just notice. Core drawing the hips round, knees following the hips. Core drawing the chest round, shoulders following the chest, head following the shoulders. Again, just acknowledging any creaks, clicks, pops, particularly in the neck. That's it. And with each rotation, that string of bones we call the spine getting a little softer. Some areas will stay tight, but other areas will release. Each rotation allows the puppet string, the sky hook, to draw the crown of the head up a little, producing a little bit more space, a millimeter here, a millimeter there, between the bones in the back. The softer the back is, the easier the energy goes up and down. Weight of the arms not being flung out to the sides as it is with the bigger movement, but just feeling the weight hanging down from the shoulders. Shoulders being drawn down by the weight of your arms. Puppet string allowing the weight of the head to be taken off the shoulders, lightening the load we carry. And just take your attention down to the soles of the feet. Just check you're not rotating so enthusiastically you have to grip the earth. Wriggling the toes, letting the toes spread. In your mind, in imagination, the toes, your roots, sinking down into the earth, receiving and giving stability. That's it. And then just let each rotation get a little less, a little less, a little less, until the movement disappears. That's good. When I whisper like that, in this room, I've gone into my snooker commentator's voice. Can you still hear me clearly? The microphone's still picking good. That's nice. So before we go on to doing our usual warming up exercises, we're well and truly in the season of contraction, the autumn, when the harvest has been gathered in a more rural-based society, we would be gathering in the stores, preparing for hibernation, preparing to do less in the winter. We live in a society where we're not allowed to slow down in the winter. We just have to keep on going. You know, chance would be a fine thing if we could hibernate. But the movement that is so associated with the autumn is that lovely movement, the metal movement, where we make ourselves small, tiny, contracted, and then we make ourselves large. We create space. So we're just going to do that. That can be done sitting down. So if the legs are saying, I need a break, use the sitting bones in the bottom as your feet to sit on a chair. That's it. Well done. So as long as you've got room either side of you, that's fine. So whether you're standing or sitting, first movement is simply to shift the weight and raise one foot and just move it the width of a foot further away from the center. Shift the weight, the other foot moves further away. So if you're standing, when you make that movement, there's a tendency to drop down. But even if you're on the sitting bones, the ischial tuberosities, with that wider stance, it just gives you more stability when you want to create space. That's good. So just standing, wide stance, Wu Qi position, simple breathing, notice the breath. My breath after all the arm swings is still up in the chest. I can feel the belly moving, but the chest is still quite keen. So we never reprimand the chest. We never try to stop the chest moving. We simply take our attention down to the belly. Soft breathing in the belly, feeling the waistband of the trousers getting a bit tighter, a little looser as we breathe out. Now, palms face forwards, and the hands come out to either side only as far as the shoulders can stay relaxed. So there's no point bringing the arms right up and finding that creates tension in the shoulders. So again, notice if there's resistance. That's as high as you go. That's it. And then the thumbs fold across the palm of the hand. Fingers close over the first joint of the thumb, so the knuckle of the thumb sticks out. Hopefully you can still squeeze your thumb and it's not painful. And then push out, so you create space between the shoulders, and then the arms come forwards. Now, in an ideal world, each time we do this, we alternate which arm is on top, but I don't want you to pause and think about it. That's it. How small can you be? It's like just opening the front door on an autumnal morning. You've been used to wearing summery clothes and you think, oh, I need an extra layer. Now, keep the fists close into the chest, the elbows pull back. The minute the shoulders can go no further, the elbows drop, palms open and face outwards, and just pause long enough to imagine a resistance. I was taught to imagine a wall, but over the years I've found many people find the wall really is quite claustrophobic, but something you can push against, a resistance to give yourself more space. So you feel that resistance, you push, you push, you push. You don't have to stop where your hands stop. It's how much space do you need? Space to breathe, space to be. And when you can go no further, just pause, breathe in, fist, and breathe out as you begin to make yourself small again. Again, if you can remember, let the arms alternate, but don't pause, just let it happen. Small, tiny. Breathe in, keeping the fist close to the chest. When the elbows can go no further, they drop, palms open. Feel that resistance against your hands. Breathe out. Pushing, pushing, pushing. That out breath gives us the power to create space. Hold the stretch, breathe in. Fist, breathe out. Breathe in. That's good. And out. Gradually letting the movement flow a little bit more. Hold that stretch, breathe in. Fist, breathe out. It's like furling our wings. And as you breathe in, unfurling like a bird, opening its wings, creating space to fly. Hold the stretch, breathe in. Fist, breathe out. Small, tiny, compact. Breathe in, preparing to expand. Breathe out. Hold the stretch, breathe in. Last movement, breathe out. Breathe in. Elbows drop. Again, just pause long enough to feel that resistance and then breathe out. Space. Hold the stretch. Breathe in. And this time, just as you breathe out, the out breath allows the arms to float down. Little bit of a wriggle, not too vigorous a wriggle. And just bring the feet back under the shoulders. Again, standing if standing's okay, but we're going to do simple Wu Chi breathing and then move into the shoulder rotations, which can be done sitting down. So just back, simple Wu Qi. Either the feet at the bottom on a chair or your feet on the floor. Skyhook lifting, lightening. And if the spine feels a bit tight, little wriggle. No rationing of the wriggles. Arms hanging wherever the muscles let them hang softly. No rules. Soft breathing in. Letting the belly fill with each breath in. Letting the belly empty with each breath out. If it helps, the image of the nose and the belly, 2 nostrils just below the tummy button. Breathing in directly to the core. Recharging, refueling. Breathing out from the core, releasing, creating space. And if the chest wants to move, notice it, but simply acknowledge it, smile at it, take your attention down to the belly, down to the storehouse. So from this lovely, soft position, just let the arms float up. And just spend a moment or two imagining that ball of qi, that balloon between the palms of the hands. Small and compact, large and expansive. Neither better than the other, just the way it is today. Fingers curled round the surface of the ball. Imagining a texture against the palms of your hands, using your sense of touch to help it become more real. Squeezing it, feeling resistance against the palms of your hands. Allowing that ball to have a buoyancy, filling it with helium. So no longer you holding the ball up, but the ball supporting your hands, your arms. And when it seems right, just letting that buoyancy increase, drawing the hands gradually upwards. If you notice resistance in the shoulders, little wriggle. And if it goes, let the ball draw your hands up higher. If it stays, don't go any higher. That's lovely. I'll just take a step back so you can see the top of my hands. Wherever your highest point is, the ball divides. One small ball stuck to the palm of each hand, gently supporting your hands down. At the bottom, the 2 small balls join, one large ball with the power to draw your arms up. Wherever you meet resistance, just pause, let the ball divide. 2 small balls supporting the arms down. The body breathes in as the large ball draws the arms up. The body breathes out as the 2 small balls support the arms down. If today is a fast breathing day, the movement is faster. If today is a slow breathing day, the movement is slower. Again, neither better, neither worse, simply the way it is in this moment. Breathing in through the nose and the belly, recharging, refueling. Breathing out through the nose and the belly, releasing, creating space. Noticing those tiny moments, those tiny pauses at the end of the in-breath before you breathe out. At the end of the out-breath before you breathe in. not creating those pauses, simply noticing them. They're always there. If the shoulders get tired, let the movement be a little smaller. If the shoulders begin to grumble, just make a pact with them. Say to them, just another 5 circles, then I'll stop, I promise. That's good. All the time, the earth supporting through the soles of your feet, the sky lightening, lengthening, supporting from the crown of the head. We'll just do 3 more circles. And at the end of your last circle, just finding a place somewhere between the chest and the belly where the chi feels content to be still, can still support the weight of your arms. Shoulders can be heavy and hang, elbows hanging, soft breathing in the belly. And then to finish, simply sliding the hands on top of the ball, gravity taking the chi down to the earth, back into the Wu Chi position, soft breathing in the belly. That's good. Lovely. And without any pause, we just go straight in to the knee rotation. So feet almost touching, little gap between the ankle bones so they're not rubbing together. Knees touching if your body allows the knees to touch, but don't force the knees to touch if they don't want to touch. Hands resting on thighs, and that puppet string, like a crane, lowering you down. So tempting to lean forwards, but we're not aiming at going down low. We're just hanging, spine hanging from the head hanging from the sky, and that slightly lower position, just stretching the ankles and letting the knees begin to make tiny, tiny circles to begin with. And being honest about how our body feels with that movement. If the body doesn't like it, make the movements even smaller. No one outside you can see you moving, but you know that those knees are making micro circles, nano circles, pico circles. If the small circles feel fine, experiment with letting the circles of the knees get a little bigger, always keeping the soles of the feet firmly stuck to the ground, allowing our roots to spread and sink each time the body drops. And if the muscles in the thighs or anywhere else start juddering or twitching, don't try and control them. Smile at them, indulge them, congratulate them for releasing and untangling themselves. That's it. Slow, smooth circles. Just 3 more in this direction. And then change direction. Again, listen to your body. Tiny circles to begin with. Don't frighten the body by suddenly making big circles. And only if the body feels okay with those tiny circles, experiment with making them bigger, or gradually make them smaller until you find a place where the knees and the hips and the low back feel safe, feel confident. That's it. And if the mind goes somewhere else, just playfully notice it. Call it back. Call it back to the here and now. That's it. Hands on the thighs, not doing any work, simply being with the thighs, being good friends to the thighs. That's good. Just 3 more circles. And then come back to the Wu Qi position. Feet under the shoulders, knees soft. Either sitting on a chair using the feet of your bottom and the sky hook still supporting you. Feet of the bottom still sinking their roots down through the chair into the earth. Soft breathing in the belly. That's good. And then our little ritual of cultivating roots. So it's all very well having a storehouse, having good roots, but we need a good trunk between the roots and the storehouse. So either, if you're a wobbly day, having a wall or a chair, or if your imagination's good, you can imagine a wall or a chair. But just that position, here we are. Let's let you stop looking at my head. There we are. Look at my feet. That lovely position where the toes gently bent. If you've got any broken toes or lots of rust in the big toe joint, just finding a place where it feels comfortable. Doesn't have to be a long way back. Doesn't have to be a big bend. And just let your weight drop down onto the balls of your toes. Take your attention to one particular toe. Might be little toe, might be big toe. And just imagine all that lovely, nourishing energy in the core, in the storehouse, flowing down blood vessels, nerves, meridian pathways, energy channels, however you imagine it, reaching that one root. And then just take your attention from one root to the next. If it's difficult to feel second, third, and fourth specifically, then imagine second, imagine third. That's good. If you're on a soft surface, when you've done all 5 roots, that little flip back, but not if that feels like you're going to get a cramp in your calf. Again, just rolling the foot backwards to the top of each root. Good. And if you wobble, smile, enjoy the wobble. That's it. Heel on the ground. Way anchor. Lasso that big toe, gently pulling the big toe up towards the body, feeling that stretch coming down, back of the knee, calf. Gently pulling the big toe across so you get a tiny rotation of the hip. Again, enough to feel a stretch, but not to frighten the hip. And the other side. Oh. And then we do the same thing on the other side. Bearing in mind that each foot is different, already this position, I can just feel a slight hesitancy in the bone that goes down the outer edge of my foot. It's sort of saying, respect, respect, don't overstretch me. So just finding that place where it still feels safe, not threatening, connecting the core to your roots, rolling from one toe to the next. If it feels okay, that backward flip, either with a chair, an imaginary chair, or a wall, that's it. Oh, and it shouldn't be a gritted teeth. Oh, it should be nice feelings. And then heel on the ground, Lasso that big toe, gently pulling, respectfully pulling, heartfelt pulling, with respect to your body, not telling it how it should be, acknowledging how it is. Oh, ah. And then my favorite bit, the shaking. Ah, shaking ankles. That's a bit too much space above me. There we are. Shaking ankles. Again, finding a way of shaking that feels all right. There you are. Even I'm balancing myself on the wall. That's it. Oh, that's a really weird position. Ah, flick from the knee. Now the weather's a bit more autumnal. If I dive out into the garden without putting shoes on, I'm more likely to tread on something horrible in the garden. Ah, flicking it off your feet. Flick of the ankle, flick of the knee. That's it. And really being creative, this little kick from the hip. It doesn't have to be big, just a little tiny, just enough to judder the hip, judder the low back. A little cat coughing up a fur ball noise as you do it. That's it. And the other side. That's it. And each is different. My right kick has got a bit more vigor in it. My left is a little bit more cautious. That's it. And then shaking hands. Puts a whole new meaning onto shaking hands, doesn't it? Upside down shakes, side to side shakes. Shaking the wrists as much as the wrists are happy. So again, if they're vulnerable, don't frighten them. But if they're happy and stable, don't hold back. That's it. Leaning forwards, let the shake come up through the elbows, wiggle across the shoulders, wet dog shake, and loosening the neck and the head. Cold shower feeling. And I so wish you weren't muted when we were doing that. That's good. Now, following along this line of noticing resistance, not pushing through resistance, I'd like to do the movement, let's have a little drink, that's called the fire movement. Some of you are familiar with it. Some of you we might not have done it since, months ago, but we'll see how it feels. It's that lovely movement. The fire in us is what really brings a sort of joy and excitement about life, a joie de vivre. So the energy in us is a little bit like a young child being taken on an outing, and it's terribly exciting. We're going somewhere, but also a little bit frightening because you're not quite sure what you're going to do and what it's going to be like. So the fire movement is about looking out at the world from the safety of your protective energy. And in Chinese medicine and Qigong, there's an energy called the heart protector. And it just keeps enough space for the heart to expand and feel excited and joyous without exposing the heart and making it feel unsafe and vulnerable. So again, I think I can come in a lot closer so it's easier for you to see what arms and legs are doing. So begin in the Wu Qi position with the feet under the shoulders. We adopt the wide Wu Qi position. So it's shifting the weight, letting one foot lift, moving each foot the width of a foot further apart. That's it. And again, be honest. So if that's not a comfortable stance, adapt it to your body. And you can do this exercise sitting down, but try it standing to begin with, because so much of it is about how the hips and the legs rotate. So the first part of the movement is just checking out our body. Imagine that puppet string, drawing your weight over onto one side. If it's vulnerable, don't make that side take too much weight. But notice how there's a natural tendency, the muscles make the body want to rotate. We actually have to use power to keep looking forward. So let the body just hang where it's softest. So weight on my right side, I end up swiveling slightly to the left. And then try the other side. Puppet string draws you over, only as far as you're comfortable. Again, there's a different type of tension this side. But again, I have to use power to keep looking forwards. But if I just hang, there's a little rotation. Not so far. So I'm only looking over maybe about 30 degrees. Whereas if I'm on the other side, it's a much bigger turn. But I'm not making myself turn. It just happens. That's good. Then come back to the midline. Great. And the next part of the movement is this looking through the visors, through the gaps in your fingers. It's like a safety grill. You know, someone's turned the light on a dark night and you just need to do this. Walking down the street when the winter sun is low and you can't see where you're going. So you're just screening your eyes. You want to go forwards, but you need that little extra protection to be able to see where you're going. And see which arm, shoulder feels most comfortable. That's it. Now, just because I'm going into this 90-degree right angle, if your shoulder doesn't like being so high, just rotate until the shoulder feels more comfortable. So again, you're not going into an official position, you're feeling where your body is okay and comfortable. That's it. That's lovely. Okay, so let the arms just hang. Whichever side felt easier to bring the hand up to the visor, that's the side you're going to start with. And if it's your left hand, you shift your weight to the right and let the body hang and just turn as far as it's happy to turn. If it's your right hand, you shift your weight to your left. That's it. Now, looking out from this position, the other hand comes up, palm pushing across in front of the chest, in front of the heart center. And it only pushes as far as the shoulder is relaxed. So here, my shoulder's relaxed. I could push a lot further, but there's tension there. So I don't want to create tension and hardness. So it's like, that's the point at which my shoulder can go no further. The upper hand comes back, drops down, turns round. So the upper hand, your initial visor has a break and a rest, and the other hand becomes your visor to look out at the world through. Wide eyes, excited eyes. And again, only turning to the point of softness. So here I'm soft. I could push myself round, but then there's tension in the back and the hips. Softness. My hanging hand comes up, pushes across in front of the chest. And again, listen to the shoulders. Here is where I meet tension, resistance. I could push further forward, but this is where I meet resistance. And at that point, the upper hand comes back behind the lower hand, drops down, change visors, and just scan the horizon, looking out at that exciting and frightening world. And again, just turning to the point where the body feels that resistance, not pushing through the resistance. The dangling hand comes up, connects with the energy of the heart, pushes across in front of the chest, and when you meet resistance, the upper hand drops down behind. Bright, shining, exciting eyes. What adventures lay out there. Stopping when you meet even the echo of resistance. Connecting with the heart energy in front of the chest, pushing across, not trying to push the world away, but just keeping it at a safe distance. The upper hand drops down behind. The lower hand becomes your visor. We'll do one more movement to each side. Again, only rotating as far as the body is soft, connecting with the heart energy, pushing until you meet resistance, then the upper hand drops down. The lower hand is your visor. This is the last scan of the horizon. Eyes bright, shining, excited. Just meeting resistance, never pushing through the resistance. Pushing across in front of the heart. When you meet resistance, this time because it's the last movement, the upper hand drops down behind and both hands turn round so the palms face your chest and you come back to the midline with the hands crossed in front of the chest. Again, this way of finishing, the heart has the space, it's not constrained. We've now turned our hands round, the back of the hand is more protective, keeping it safe. And to finish, all we do is 2 small circles with the hands. It's that lovely archetypal energy that says, we've finished. Settle down. Hands hang. One foot lifts off the earth and just comes back to the shoulder width stance. Knees soft. And before we sink our breath down, the fire movement really moves from the chest. So our chi is up in the chest. We're a little bit top heavy. But just to finish, because it's a very controlled movement, backs of the wrists on the ledge at the bottom of the spine, a little bit of jiggling. So just letting the body, feet firmly stuck to the ground. Movement comes from the crown of the head, the puppet string, lifting and dropping, lifting and dropping. That's it. It can be little tiny jiggles or quite big, vigorous jiggles. Depends on your body, depends on your mood. Neither is better or right or wrong. And just in your mind, visualizing any areas of stuckness, stiff hip, stiffness in the shoulder, ankle, clenching of the teeth, just shaking loose the energy connected with that stuckness. It might not be ready to move, so not battling, not getting into a tug of war. Simply giving the opportunity for a bit of rubbish to be shaken loose, to flow where the body can get rid of it. A bit of useful chi to be shaken loose, to flow where the body really needs it. And then gradually allowing the movement to reduce and reduce and reduce until the movement disappears. Keeping the hands resting on the small of the back. It's the back door to the storehouse. So just in this position, puppet string lengthens, lightens. Spine, that string of bones just hanging softly. Allowing the chi to drop down from the chest, the throat, down into the belly. Breathing out any rubbish, any waste, anything the body no longer needs. Using the in-breath just to draw qi to the storehouse. And then letting the arms hang. Our little ritual at the end of any class, shifting the weight, just lifting our roots. Getting ready to be repotted. Either the same physical space if you're going to be staying in the room you're in, but no longer the group space, or preparing to move somewhere else. That's it. Now, let's just move that chair out of the way. We'll have our little ritual of closing circles. Yeah, that's a bit better. Trouble is you see my ceiling, but that's all matter. So you don't have to use the gallery view for this. Simply close your eyes and imagine the four of us standing in a circle. So somewhere in the circle is Julie, somewhere is Angela, somewhere is Judith. Just visualize that circle. And then the left hand turns palm upright, and the right hand turns palm down. So placing your right hand on the person to your right's upturned left hand. Oh, don't get into left and right. You know what it is. Person on your left is just placing their hand on your upturned left hand. So your left hand is supporting. Imagine that 5 or 6 pounds of arm resting on your left hand. Imagine the weight of your right hand resting and being supported by the other person. So there we are, connected, physically connected in a 4-person circle. Breathing in through the left hand, breathing out through the right. Receiving from the left, giving to the right. Being supported on the left. No, I said that wrong. Supporting on the left, being supported on the right. Let's say, oh, it's nice to make mistakes. Breathing in on the left, breathing out on the right. Receiving from the left, giving to the right. Imagining the breath, the qi flowing around the circle, connecting us as a group. And then raising your right hand ever so slightly to break that physical connection. Still breathing in through the left. Still breathing out to the right. Still receiving on the left. Still giving to the right. Still supporting on the left. Still being supported on the right. And then your right hand drops down. Even though we're having to imagine it, imagine that physical contact. Give your partner's hand a squeeze on each side, gentle squeeze, preparing to break the circle. And you know what we have to do. 3 loud claps. And we have to imagine 4 people clapping loudly. There we are.